Thank you. I'm excited to introduce our presenter today. Ashley Kent is the Associate Director of the Local Government Center, and she does a lot of work with local governments and communities across the state. So has a real depth of experience in working with groups and community. So Ashley, thank you for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie. Thanks for having me. I'm just going to do a quick sound check. Can you all hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm super excited to talk about cultivating self-awareness. I'm really glad you joined us. And we're going to spend the next 20 minutes sharing some information, and then we'll have some time for discussion, as Katie said. I've divided this topic into kind of two subtopics. The first is self-awareness in general. What is it? How do we do it? Big picture. And then we're going to shift to self-awareness in the context of conflict. So hopefully this information is valuable to you. And my goal is that you sign off at 9 o'clock with some tools and ideas that you can put into practice today. Let's dig in. As we start here this morning, I want to do a couple of quick grounding exercises. I think I'm somebody who came to the idea of grounding exercises a little bit skeptical. And despite that, I have really found real power in them. So the first thing we're going to do is just a quick self-scan. So what I would invite you to do is just take a moment, sit back, get kind of comfy. You can close your eyes if you want. If you don't, that's okay. And just imagine a 2D plane coming down, starting at the crown of your head, and just kind of checking in as it goes down through your body. Maybe it kind of pulses a little bit when it finds some tension or anxiety or just something being held on to. So start at the crown of your head, work your way down. You might be somebody who holds tension in your jaw. Maybe you need to do a little jaw wiggle. Or maybe you're somebody who holds your tongue to the roof of your mouth. I'm guilty of that. Maybe it's in your neck and your shoulders, and you just need to kind of move around a little bit. Let that plane work its way down through your body, through your shoulders and your arms, through your trunk. Maybe there's some tension or something being held in your back. And let it slip down through your hips and your thighs. Maybe you're a thigh tension holder. Down over your knees, through your calves, and down through your feet. And if your feet are not on the ground, I would encourage you to put them on the ground and just feel the weight on the ground. Are you clenching and holding on to energy in your feet? Are you letting the ground take the weight? This is a very quick and simple body scan practice to help us recognize what's happening with us internally. Okay. The second activity that I want to start with is box breathing. If you were able to join us last week, Katie touched on this, and I think it's great to build on this, and let's actually try it. So box breathing, oh, I had more in here. Box breathing is where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. So you're welcome to follow my prompts, or you can do it at your own pace, whatever's comfortable for you. So sit back, get comfy, and go ahead and breathe in through your nose, nice and slow and deep for 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, let it expand through your chest cavity and your belly, take up space, 3, 4. Now breathe out through your mouth, small controlled breath, as you empty that breath back out, 2, 3, 4. Hold softly at the bottom of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do one more round. Breathe in through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. Take up that space. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out through your mouth. Control breath. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you're welcome to return to your normal breathing. I would love to know how you're responding to that. So if you would like to share in the chat, please feel welcome to do that. The thing I really like about both of these grounding activities is that you can do them yourself and nobody else even has to know that they're happening. So it's a way to check in with yourself that can be very internal. Or you can invite a trusted friend, colleague, whoever it may be, to join in with you. Just really quick, easy to do. Okay, let's talk about self-awareness. I don't think we can talk self-awareness without recognizing that it is a part of emotional intelligence. So in extension, we've spent a lot of time studying and understanding Daniel Goleman's work. He has built this model of emotional intelligence where there's 4 domains and 12 competencies. Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. Marianne Keyes did a Big Sky, Big Leadership to Go on emotional intelligence. I highly encourage you to go check it out, that playlist that's linked in the chat. She did a great job. It's a really, really great webinar. So today, what we're going to focus on is just really that self-awareness. And this is where we get into the definition, the describing, the what is it? There was a great article in 2018 that talked about self-awareness. It was titled "What Self-Awareness Really Is and How to Cultivate It." And this was one of the takeaway quotes that I loved. Even though most people believe they are self-aware, only 10 to 15% of the people that they studied actually fit the criteria. I think a big part of that is understanding and being able to define what self-awareness really is. I like to break it into 2 subsections. The first is the internal self-awareness. It could be the physiological part of that, like what we just did. Are we holding tension? Is our heart rate elevated? Are we speaking differently than normal? Those are the physiological signs. There's also how well we understand ourself at our core, our strengths and weaknesses, our core values, how we react to things. Those are all who we are. And it's not right or wrong. There's no moral judgment in it. Just recognizing and having awareness of it is really, really helpful. So that's the first piece. That's the internal. And a lot of times that's where people stop. They say, yep, I'm self-aware. I know these things about myself. But there's that second set of information that is equally as important, and that is the external self-awareness. How accurately do we understand how other people view us and our behaviors? So I might think as I enter into a conversation that I'm being curious and open and inviting more information. And what might be happening just by my facial expressions and body language unintentionally is it looks like I'm being judging and closed off and accusatory when I'm saying, tell me more about that. I think I'm being open and that other person feels attacked, feels defensive because it feels like I am trying to do a gotcha, right? So both pieces of self-awareness are equally important. You can't be really strong in one, nothing in the other, and master that self-awareness pillar in emotional intelligence. For those of you who might be a little bit more visually oriented when it comes to learning, I really appreciate this model, which is what we call Johari's window. And it takes basically that same idea. Self-awareness is what we know about ourselves and what other people know about us or perceive about us, and puts it into this box. So the things that we know about ourselves and other people also know about us, this is what we call the arena or sometimes the stage. It's the open. Yes, we all know that, right? And then there's the things that we know about ourselves, but other people don't know about us. This is the facade. Now, sometimes the facade are this information that you really don't want to share. You know, but you don't want to divulge it. And that's completely okay. The other side is the things that we don't know about ourselves, but other people know about us. Those are our blind spots. The things that other people could tell us if we knew to ask or invite that feedback. And then finally is the information that we don't know about ourselves and that other people don't know about us. That's the unknown, or sometimes called the black box. So a lot of the same ideas, the same definitions of self-awareness, that dual definition, just a different packaging. Our intention when we do emotional intelligence and self-awareness work is to shift this line to the right. My goal is to help you make your blind spot and your black box smaller. I want to be able to empower you with self-awareness so that you can make informed decisions about your behavior, your interaction, whatever it may be. Like I said, the facade, that's your choice. If you never want to make that smaller, that's completely up to you, and that's not my decision. It's all up to you. So blind spot and black box is where I really like to spend my time. Okay, so that's a very basic, quick definition of emotional intelligence. Let's think about that then in terms of conflict. As humans, we have a natural tendency when our brain perceives a threat to respond in a very primal, aggressive, emotional way. Now, I want to be clear that emotions in and of themselves are not bad. In fact, it's very much a natural human thing, right? The issue is when your brain triggers into this primal responsive state, the emotions tend to be a symptom, not the core cause that we're trying to work on. So as our brains perceive threat, real or not, physical or not, it sends this all hands on deck kind of alert to a very specific part of our brain. And we tend to react very aggressively. It kind of flips a switch or closes a bridge in our brain. We can't access some of the more complex, nuanced, big picture things. We tend to get a little bit of tunnel vision. We see and attribute motivations to other people's behavior in a negative way. We respond to perceived aggression with more aggression. This is where the fight, flight, or freeze response comes from. There's also a fourth F called fawning. If you're the type of person who, oh, I just really want them to like me and it seems like they're mad at me, I'm going to do everything I can to make them like me. That's also one of these fight, flight, or freeze responses. So like I said, if that happens, we can't access the part of our brain that really is helpful in moving a conflict situation forward. Because in conflict, we're trying to balance the goal or the outcome of the task, the issue at hand, and the maintenance or improving the relationship. So there's a dual goal of outcome and relationship. And you can see when we start to get into this very aggressive, responsive state, it's hard to get to even one, let alone two of those dual goals. So, like we've been talking about with self-awareness, awareness leads to management. So if you can recognize your own triggers, your physiological symptoms, whatever happens for you of that emotional, very aggressive response, and aggressive could look for you like completely shutting down and disengaging. That is also an unproductive response to conflict. This is really, really hard to do. So I want you to take just a few minutes and think about, what does it feel like for you physiologically when you're deep into that aggressive responsive state? What does it look like? For me, it's my hands get sweaty, my chest gets tight, my voice goes up, my ears get bright red, my heartbeat goes faster. All of those are physiological symptoms of when I am deep into this state. It's hard enough to recognize those things, but then to try to recognize the step before that, when you start slip over that edge, before you're deep into it, how do you catch yourself? So I want you to think about, what does that look like for you? And what I've found working with these communities across the state is the triggered response that you have, right? The very reactionary response, almost always underlying reasons for those are tied to your core values. Your core values are being pushed on in some way. So identifying those is really important. And Mandy Reed did another Big Sky, Big Leadership to Go on values. And I think, again, it's a great watch and well worth your time. So if you can pre-plan actions and tools to help you navigate these natural responses to keep you on track with your conversation, your conflict, you're less likely to fall into these unproductive behaviors. So ask yourself if your behavior or response that really it feels good to just react that way, if that's really going to help you reach your end goal. And if not, maybe we need to think about some alternate strategies. If you can achieve that self-awareness, you can help keep yourself calm, keep that logical, proactive, nuanced part of your brain engaged. That's when you have access to the best possible outcomes. So like we talked about with this series, you're moving from reaction to intention. And moving away from that reactive state helps you access things like complex reasoning, helps you get curious about the other person's perspective, not just trying to pick apart their argument, but why would a reasonable, rational person take their stance? Let me see if I can understand that. What might I be doing to contribute to this conflict? Because if you believe that you have in no way contributed to the conflict, you probably don't know the whole story. And it'll help shift you from a me versus you. We're just going to be entrenched in this battle to us on a single team versus a problem. Right? That helps you shift your focus from the individual to the issue, which really is one of the key strategies for conflict resolution. All right, I have a whole list of tips and tricks. I'm going to throw them all out here as we wrap up this information or this information sharing portion of this, and then we'll jump in the chat and see if we have any questions. So like I said, if you've never done things like personal values exercises, the Real Colors temperament assessment, we have tons of agents who are certified and great facilitators in that workshop. The Thomas Kilmann conflict or negotiation mode. Are you a competitor or an avoider or a collaborator? The working genius model. These are all things that help you with self-awareness. I think Katie mentioned last time, one of the most impactful tools is to find a trusted person and ask for feedback. When I behave in this way or when I use this tone, what does that say to you? What sense are you getting? Does that sound encouraging or does it sound like I'm being detractive? And if you don't have easy access to a trusted person, you could always record yourself. It's a difficult process and tough to watch for most of us, but it really does provide some great feedback. Identify your outcome before your ideal outcome before you get into the conflict, before your brain does its natural thing, because you won't be able to access that logical thought process while you're in the moment. But if you know what your ideal outcome is, you can state your intention at the beginning, and you can hold yourself accountable as you move through that interaction. Practice these things like box breathing, fall away breathing. I love walking meetings, things where you're moving, because you're moving those natural chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol through your body quicker to help you get back to your original neutral state. Give yourself and other people, whoever's in this conversation with you, permission to pause the conversation at any time. We have a natural tendency to try to push through, even when we get flustered or we're frustrated. It is very, very difficult to get to an outcome that's going to be good and helpful and productive if you're in that state. It's much, much better to say, hey, I need just a few minutes. I really want to hear what you had to say, and I can feel myself shutting down. So can we take a 10-minute break or an hour break or come back tomorrow, whatever it may be. And finally, go check out the rest of the Big Sky Big Leadership to Go webinars. There's some really great information, really great tools out there in these quick, easy to digest formats. So use the resources that are there. There's some great stuff. All right, I think that's everything. Here is the resources that I pulled together for today's slides, but I am happy to spend the rest of our time just having a conversation. What are your questions or thoughts or anything that you've tried that worked really well?
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. Lots of tips and tricks there. I'm actually going to ask you, can you go back to the page you just shared that had all this list of different ideas?
Sure can.
And folks, please put your questions in the chat window. It's a real gift to have this time asking some questions with Ashley. So we want to hear what's on your mind. I'll start you off with one. Let's say someone is new to this. kind of doing a deep dive personal work around self-awareness. There's a lot of great ideas here. Where would you recommend someone start?
Mm. I think for me, I don't know that you can get to where you want to be until you know where you are. So I think understanding yourself through some of those self-guided tools. You have complete free access to personal values, exercise sheets, to the Thomas Kilmann, to different temperaments and styles. I think they're much more impactful if you can do them with someone else. So if you could find a buddy and go through and have a conversation about who am I? What do I value? And sometimes it's easier to start with who do I not want to be? What do I not want to show as one of my values? And then start to practice the language that you want to be intentional about using before you get into the moment. And it doesn't have to be in a contentious moment, right? But just being aware of the language that you're using. I think practice, practice, practice. Sometimes it feels silly to do it in front of a mirror or a camera, but it really is valuable. And Katie, I would love to know your thoughts because I know you have done lots and lots of work around this. Where do you suggest people start?
Um, that's a great question. I think I appreciate what you said there at the end, this idea of practice, and having a group or another person or a small group of people where you can show up and be kind of messy and unpolished. And sometimes it's hard in certain environments to like be open and vulnerable and show you don't really know, or don't feel very confident in navigating some of these. So finding that small group, and I think just kind of starting with the conversations. I would agree with you. I do think that interaction with other folks kind of on a similar path creates a really healthy environment to try things on, to say things out loud that maybe you're just saying inside your head or you're avoiding. And then any of these ideas. Yeah. But I personally like that space of someone I can kind of bounce the ideas and the conversation off of.
Yep, yep. And I would just like to highlight there's no right or wrong way to do this. The goal is self-education, self-awareness, self-development. We all learn in different ways. So if these aren't the tools that speak to you, there's lots and lots and lots of things out there. This is just what I've had some experience with, but I encourage you. This is a lifelong learning kind of journey, not something you get to just do an assessment, check the box, and you're done.
Dang it. We're looking for
Mhm.
an easy fix here, Ashley. That's not the case.
Sorry to disappoint.
Colleen has a question. Can you talk us through how to conduct a walking meeting?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. So a walking meeting is when you are having a conversation with someone outside of your typical space. Often it's an office or a conference room, and you're moving. Kind of tough to do in February sometimes, but it can be done. I highly encourage you to be outside if you can, be near water. Water is incredibly therapeutic. And just a slow, easy pace. You're not trying to get anywhere. The goal of the walking meeting is to have movement, to be away from any kind of distractions, electronic devices, walk-ins, anything like that. It can be just around a park or even a parking lot. Um, Anything that makes you feel connected to that person, that they have your full attention. Attention is valuable, it's rare, it's hard to get somebody's undivided attention. So to make them feel important, make them feel heard, you have my full attention. Let's go have this experience together. You're walking side by side, so you're on the same team. Your brain's recognizing that as a partner. And then you can work through the issue that you guys are facing together.
Great. Another great question here from Richard. How would you recommend approaching someone who is causing issues and has low self-awareness in an effort to improve their self-awareness?
Yeah. Oh, I would love your thoughts on this too, Katie. My default is to align yourself with them and help them recognize or invite them into that conversation about how they can help move the team and themselves toward their end goal. So you don't walk into the conversation with, here's what you're doing wrong, right? But invite that journey of self-discovery for them. You say, hey, where do you want to be in a year or 5 years? Or where do we want the team to be? What are some of the behaviors that are really helpful, productive, and help move us towards that? And what are some of the things that might detract from that? And is there a time that you can remember where you've had behaviors in both categories? Because if you focus only on the negative, it's not going to go well, right? But you do need to spend some time there. And it doesn't have to be just them. You could share in this too, so they don't feel like they're being interrogated. Excuse me. But it invites that self-awareness. These tools that we use in extension, doing them in groups is a great way to build a little bit of self-awareness so that people don't feel singled out. And then you can follow that up with some personal coaching. And the experience as a group is a great segue and a great kind of excuse to have the conversation, right? So, hey, we just did real colors. I learned that you are X color and I'm the opposite. Tell me more about what it looks like when you're frustrated. And if you're okay, I'll tell you what I experience. It moves that focus from the person as a character judgment to the observable behaviors. Anything you would add to that, Katie?
I love that, Ashley. I think what I would just emphasize, what I heard very clearly in there is, um, when you're engaging in conflict or like in this scenario, Richard, with someone where you're like, they really are not noticing how their impact on the team or others, is to really start with that curiosity and start asking
Mhm.
questions. So I'm the kind of person who has to, um, prefers to have as much information. And sometimes, so that it is for me, and it's also when you kind of ask questions and you can kind of guide them in certain areas, they can start to have some aha moments. Because sometimes people aren't even thinking, right? They're just like, their head is down, they are going forth. I think it's different when you move into the arena of folks who are intentionally being disruptive or causing issues. That's a trickier space. But sometimes people just, they're pretty clueless to their impact on others. So I think starting with that, okay, let me start ask some deeper questions and see if we can surface some of the things that are going on here by them having to reflect themselves and then using that information for some problem solving for what might be next steps. Yeah. Another minute here. Ashley, anything to add on to that or last thoughts before we send folks out into their day?
I just want to say thank you for spending time on this. The self-awareness journey can feel a lot like failure sometimes as you start to recognize some of these things. And I would encourage you to sit to and say that it's not at all. Learning about yourself and doing better because you now know better is growth every time. Even if you look back and think about some behaviors in the past and go, oh, I wish I could take that back. That's growth. And you're recognizing those changes. So don't be discouraged by not getting it right the first time or not being perfect. There's nothing about this journey that's perfect. Embrace the messiness. As Skylar says, embrace the ick.
Wonderful. Great advice there. Thank you, Ashley, for being here and everyone else. Join us next week. We're going to dive into emotions with Dr. Michelle Grokey, and the recording will be up on the playlist here in a couple days. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Take care.